You are listening to Ducks Hockey on Fire, your official home for Anaheim Ducks fan talk. Coach B and Hank discuss all the latest in Anaheim Ducks news, results, standings, and anything else Anaheim Ducks hockey related.
How we doing, Ducks fans? Well, today is December 28th, 2017, as we come close to the new year, and the Ducks come back from the Christmas break last night against the Vegas Golden Knights to a sold-out Honda Center. And I guess we got some coal in our stocking because it was 4-1. It was the final, Golden Knights, and we looked good from the start, but couldn't finish the job.
The Ducks just had it in their mind that when Ryan Kessler got back, and this is great news that he's back in the lineup. He looked pretty good last night, but I think everybody built it up in their mind that when he got back, it was going to be the aha moment for the Anaheim Ducks. And they found out last night that no matter who's in the lineup, they have to play hard. And it's not that they didn't play hard. I think we found out that the collective efforts of, and you and I talked before we got on air here, the collective efforts of the Vegas Knights have really turned them into quite a team. There's no superstar there, is there?
No, I mean the guy you look at really is the real deal, James Neal, and he's a guy that's had success in the past with Pittsburgh and Dallas and obviously with Nashville last year, getting close to the Cup again. And he's a guy that I think people rally around and kind of look to model their game after. But you're right. I mean, as we talked about before we got on here this morning, there really is no guy that's kind of carrying their team. Everybody's chipping in goals. Everybody's chipping in points. A guy like Carrier. I don't know how you pronounce that name. He's injured right now, but he's having a big impact.
How about Cody
on their team? Who's that? Cody Eakin? Yeah, love him. I mean,
just a worker, smart, crafty hockey player, and gets the job done. When it comes to puck possession in the offensive zone, he's one of those players too that he gets it and moves it, and I don't know. There's some really interesting players that they have.
A smart goal. Was it him who scored last night?
Yep.
Yeah. When Lindholm lost the breakdown, it was. I think.
Lindholm leaned the wrong way. It's interesting to watch a simple play like that and how much it hurts that you get a player that leans the wrong direction and Eakin gets the puck and streaks in off the right side and beats Gibson low to his glove side. And it was a great shot. It was a great release, but he got himself enough space so he could take that shot just because Hampus Lindholm leaned the wrong way.
Yeah, and it's a smart shot too from Eakin. On the breakaway. Always a good look to go 5-hole, and he buried it. But I want to talk about the Ducks start because they came out and we looked solid the first 17 minutes of that game. Maybe even a little bit more. But we looked really good. Everybody was making little plays around the puck, supporting the passes, getting open, getting into space, and then as Getzlaf said after the game, he said, we flat out quit playing, and that's it. It was one and done, one period, and we kind of threw in the towel. So you never like to see that. We've been clicking recently with two big wins in New York and then in Pittsburgh over the defending champs. Look great in those games. It's now the time of year where you need that to be consistent night in, night out.
Well, the only thing I really didn't like, and I agree, I think the first period was really solid. In fact, I texted you last night, off to a great start.
Yeah.
The only thing that I didn't like out of the whole night last night, other than the fact that maybe the second and third period were not great defensively, I thought there was some good zone presence, some good zone time, some good puck movement, some good opportunities here or there. But I surely didn't like Shea Theodore and David Perron scoring goals.
No, and Theodore's goal, I mean, look, that's a quick decision that Bieksa has to make. He's got a guy that's driving in the slot, and he can defend him, tie up his stick, and then let Gibby take the shot, which he did, or you can get in the lane of Theodore's shot. And I think he just had too much time. I think he made the wrong choice there, and you need to get in front of that or get a stick on it or something, because a guy like Shea Theodore, we all know, the offensive prowess that he has, and that was a heck of a shot. I mean, that was unreal. So those defensive goals or defensive plays where you need to stop a goal are crucial, and especially on a guy like that. For Perron, I don't like to see him score. We had 3 former Ducks score against us last night: Carlson, Perron, and Theodore. Yep. So biting us a little bit.
Yep. Well, this is a little something I want to throw at you. We've talked about it before. I surely don't like it when Bieksa and Beauchemin are in the lineup together. I think they're the same player. I think they bring the same thing. And when they're both in the lineup, I just don't think it's right for the Ducks.
I agree. I think you're dead on with the kind of game they play. They're just a right-handed and left-handed player of the same style.
They bring the same leadership. Don't get me wrong. Like, I think they both have really good leadership qualities, but I don't think that they can be in the lineup together. And you take a look. Bieksa had 21:49 on the ice, and Beauchemin had 16 minutes on the ice.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, Bosch is having a pretty decent season in his farewell tour. But I think you're right. I think you maybe have a night when you have Bieksa in the lineup. I think you put in a guy like Walensky, or Holzer has not played in a long time, and he's been a bit of a stalwart on our D when we need him. I like Holzer. I like the way he plays the game. I don't think he's ever going to be a guy that's going to take us anywhere, but he's a solid, depth guy to throw in the lineup when you need to kind of change things up. And, Bieksa is also not a guy that's going to play 42 games in a season or 41. Beauchemin signed this deal in the offseason kind of knowing that he might be doing that. So, if I'm Randy or Bob Murray, maybe they kind of, focus things going down the stretch here and, manage that ice time between the two of them, because you're right, it doesn't really help you when you have two of the same player on the ice.
And then Josh Manson didn't have his best game of the year last night, and then Montour was, especially when we got down, he was all over the ice. He was trying to jump up. He was in on the attack, which is great. If that's what his job is, then he's got to do that. If that's what RC and the gang are telling him in the locker room to do, great. But at one point, I saw one shift that I really didn't like, where he was up in the play, went down the right wall, chipped the puck deep, and then he got back out, and then again he cut up the ice, got into the offensive attack, and so there was 2 times that he was up into the play, and then he couldn't make it back, and he went for a change as the puck's going back down. As a defenseman, that's not good. I mean, if I'm the coaching staff and he's coming back to the bench, and he's not getting his butt back into the play as the other team's attacking, and he's going for a change, I'm all over him on that one. There's just no way that you can do that. If you're going to go up, if you're going to do the crime and get up the ice and attack, you got to do the time by getting your butt back and playing defense. There's my rule with my defensemen have always been this: if you're going to go up, you better get your butt back. That's for sure.
Yeah, you're dead right. I mean, Brandon Montour, that's kind of why he was scratched against, I think it was the Rangers. Randy Carlos said, look, your first job, you're a defenseman. Your first job is playing defense. You're a talented offensive player. You're going to jump up and you're going to go when we give you the green light. I think he's just naturally inclined. If you look at the teams he's played on, in juniors and in the minors, with San Diego, he's kind of been the go-to guy. He's kind of been the, I don't want to say, well, I'll say it, kind of the Erik Karlsson of every team he's played on. Montour has been at that level. He's not at that level in the NHL. It's going to take him years to develop into that kind of player if he ever becomes that player. So I think he's just got that mindset, where he can kind of take over games, but he can't do that yet in the NHL. And, I think he needs to taper his expectations. But, Josh Manson, like you said, really disappointed in his game last night. That goal, the William Karlsson goal, he tries to make a cute little drop pass to nobody. I think he got a little coined on that one. I think the Vegas Knights forward was, as we all know, a lot of hockey players, when you're behind the net or you're by a defenseman, you kind of yell and pretend to be the other team or your teammate. I think he got coined into that a little bit and dropped it right to the Vegas Knights and bang play to Carlson. So defense needs to shore up a little bit here. I'd like to see Fowler step up more and make more of his plays in the offensive zone, and he's the better player to be doing that kind of green light stuff, and the rest of the guys need to hunker down and play defense.
I'm 100% on board with you on that, and I think as Montour, obviously as an offensive player, they traded Vatanen so that Montour could be that guy, but he's got to pick and choose his spots, and at 2-1, 3-1, getting later in the game, and you need a goal. There's no doubt you need the defenseman to get into the play, and in today's NHL game, the attack has to be 3-4 guys, and that means the defenseman has to be up in the play. But you cannot, as a defenseman, you cannot be the attacking player. And this just this speaks to the forwards as well a little bit. Is that you can, when the team is on the attack and the puck is with one of the other players, as a defenseman, you cannot be the one driving the net. And I see that so often, so many times with the Anaheim Ducks, where a defenseman is the middle driver, guy driving between the defensemen, and that's not good. Because that's a hard working job. That's a winger's job. That's a job for Adam Henrique. That's a job for Wagner. That's a job for Kasha. That's a job for Nick Ritchie. That's a job for Logan Shaw. That's a job for Raquel. Those are the kind of guys you want driving, being the middle driver and driving between the defensemen and really pressing the attack like that. If you have a defenseman that's doing that, your team's in deep trouble.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a sign of, kind of out of sync playing. And, it should always be a 3-forward rush and then a fourth guy if you need him trailing. And the Ducks, what I've just been kind of, questioning, coming out of the management and the coaches' mouths is, every time we play a fast team, it's always, they play a very fast-paced game. It's different from our game. The whole NHL's playing the fast game. I mean, when are the Ducks gonna buy into that and start teaching the players to play north-south hockey? They're effective players down low. I understand the cycle game. I get it that it opens up opportunities. But in today's NHL, every year it gets more and more goals are scored on rushes. You don't see these 2 or 3, not 2 or 3. You don't see these 1 to 2 minute shifts anymore down low, as we saw maybe 10 years ago, grinding guys out, and a guy sneaks into the slot and buries one. It's a lot scored on the rush, and I think the Ducks have the skill set to do it. They just don't have the coaching mindset.
Well, I think if you look at the minutes across the board for the whole team, everybody got a decent amount. Nobody was under 10 minutes, and I think that's where the Ducks have to improve. I think whoever that fourth line is should be around 8 or 9 minutes. And some nights, and depending upon the team, maybe 7 minutes, 8 minutes, somewhere in that ballpark. And when you have your fourth liners over 10 minutes, over 11 minutes, up to 12 minutes, that's when I don't think you're getting your top players on the ice enough. And if they can't be on the ice, then they got to get in better shape for whatever, They better get to the gym and get their workouts in. Or they better get on the bike and before the game and after the game, because those are the guys that got to be counted on.
Nick Ritchie needs to lay off the Dunkin' Donuts, man. I mean, this guy, he came into camp in great shape.
We have Dunkin' Donuts in Orange County now, by the way.
You do?
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to franchise that and bring it to the West Coast. I thought it was big money. There's no Dunkin' over there. I think it's, we're not going to start a Dunkin' Starbucks debate here, but I think Dunkin's better. I think their coffee's better value.
They're here.
Throwing it out there.
Dunkin' Donuts is here. The only thing that's not here is a Timmy Hortons.
Oh, well, that'll be the day when the Canadians come marching in. But Richie, man, he's Dude, he's a good player. We drafted him 10th overall, wasn't it 10th overall back in 2011 or something? And, this kid, he's a very talented goal scorer. He's just not getting it done in this season, and he's effective when he's banging bodies. He's not hitting people anymore. The one quote I liked from Kessler after the game last night, and maybe this is what he'll bring, more than anything, is he said, we've been playing pretty soft, and it's time for us to start playing mean. And that's when the Ducks are effective. Getzlaf, Kessler, Perry, when all the boys are going and they've got a bit of a chip on their shoulder, we know how to play hockey. And Richie's one of those guys who, when he gets angry, he plays his best game. So guys like that, he's going to need to own that fourth line left wing spot. And, he can really make an impact if he's playing 10 minutes a night and he's an effective guy and he's leading that line, chip in a goal a week or something like that for the rest of the season, and then his job is done.
Well,
there's not a lot of...
Speaking of Kessler, you take a look at his time on the ice. He's at 16:27 for his first game back. I know, and I heard a conversation about this the other day about whether, what kind of minutes Kessler was going to get when he got back. And I think one thing that people don't realize is that game shape is a lot different than just being in shape and skating in practice. There's a whole different level of being in shape when you're in a game versus if you're practicing on a regular basis, which is where Ryan Kessler's been. So to expect him to play 16 minutes and to be at the top of his game is very difficult. It's going to be a while before he can get to 17, 18, 19, 20 minutes is where he should be when it comes to time on the ice.
Yeah, he's going to take a while to get into that. He looks like he's in terrific shape, but as you say, reading the plays, managing your minutes in your defensive zone, making the changes at the right time. If you get caught out there for an extra 20 or 30 seconds, your next shift is going to be a little bit tougher, and it just kind of builds up. So it's making those reads, that kind of get you into game shape. And I like the way Kessler was skating last night. He looked fleet of foot. He looked nice, and it's very comforting to hear him say that he hasn't felt this way in 5 years, maybe more. So,
well, it's going to take him a good 1 to 2 weeks to really get back to shape. And just think about where the guys are. If this was the beginning of the season, it'd be one thing, but it's in the middle of the season. These guys are in game shape.
We played 38 games.
38 games. Okay, yeah. I'm way off. 38 games.
It feels like 25.
Yeah. So 38 games. That's a lot of time to get into game shape and then to even advance it even further. So, Kessler's got a way to go. But I got a bone to pick, like with Randy Carlyle, because I just don't think that Kevin Waugh should have been in the lineup last night. And I know he's had some talks about it. He's trying to figure it out where he would fit in the lineup. And quite frankly, I just think he's on his way to San Diego. He's not going to be a top six guy. And we talked about this before. He cannot be in the lineup unless he's a top six guy. And if he's in our top six, we're in trouble.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think especially once Perry comes back. Perry's going to be back next week, likely. So, I think Waugh will be spending the rest of the season in San Diego. I love the way he's played. He has really great potential, but he's just not there yet. Send him down to the minors, let him score 20 goals in San Diego, and have a boatload of confidence. Heck, have a run at the Calder Cup down in the minors, and let him lead that squad. It'll grow him. It's kind of like Jacob Magna. He's a good player. He could play in the Ducks lineup, but he's not going to play every night. So they sent him back to the minors to get some good playing time. And a guy like Waugh is You're right in saying that he's a top six guy. When you put him, he was on the third line last night with Henrique and Silverberg for a little bit. He just kind of looked like he was out of sorts. he needs to play with a guy like Getzlaf, which is, I think a lot of people would like to play with a guy like Getzlaf, but you can't do that every night. You need to bring your own game. And he's just not bringing it to the level we need right now. So I don't know. I think I wouldn't rule out a trade here, between now and the deadline for Murray to kind of get like a depth winger on the third line. The guy that sticks out to me, I'm not saying we get him, but a guy that kind of filled that role when he played with Bruce was Chris Stewart. He came in for the Ducks and he had a solid season and was a guy that didn't play consistently, but when he was on his game, he was very effective on that third and fourth line. So I think we're missing a guy like that. Richie could be that guy, but he's not stepping up. So something needs to fill that role, and Wah is not going to be the guy.
How about the play of William Karlsson last night?
Yeah, I mean, he's a stud. This guy
number one star. 16 minutes on the ice, and he's a number one star.
He's all over the ice. He's, I think, this is a little bit of a bold prediction here, but I think you'll see the C slapped on his chest next season. He's a guy that's a young guy. He kind of just defines Vegas right now. I mean, he's a guy that's kind of been lost in the woodwork of a lot of teams, played pretty well for Columbus, wasn't terrific, comes to Vegas as a 24, 25-year-old guy, and he's having the season of his career. He's got, I think, 17 or 18 goals now, maybe more. He had a goal last night, maybe it's 19. And he's a first-line centerman, and he's really you can just tell the poise and the confidence that he has right now. Nobody's playing better than him on Vegas, and I'd love to see it, honestly. I remember watching Wild Bill when he scored his first goal with the Ducks, and in Philadelphia, and he was playing in the shootout, and there's a young hype around this kid, but who knew that he would turn to Vegas and be their number one guy? I mean, it's a great story, just like the Vegas Knights are a great story, and kind of just writes it all over for him. I love it.
I think Alex Tuch was a huge presence on the ice last night. He made a lot of power moves into the zone, to the net, those type of plays that were really important at getting them some offensive opportunities throughout the game.
Yep, Tuch's another guy. They have great chemistry together. It's fascinating to see how quickly guys can come together on that team and then just kind of put things together. But
well, he was really. We talked about in previous podcasts. We talked about that situation with the Wild. They exposed him, and Vegas was all over it. And I think Minnesota made a huge blunder letting him go. As a young player, he's just coming into his own. He's just figuring out the NHL game. He's got so much skill with his size. He's in the mold of a Corey Perry, Ryan Getzlaf type of player.
Yeah, and he's a guy that's going to be, up there with Wild Bill for the Vegas Knights for a long time. I think they're going to be franchise players for that team. And they're looking at a guy like Neil, who's on the downslide of his career. I mean, he's playing great, but look, Neil's 34, 35. He's got limited years left in this league. As much as they can take from him before he leaves, they're going to use that for the rest of their career and be solid players in the NHL.
So several games across the NHL last night. The Minnesota Wild do win last night in Minnesota. They beat the Dallas Stars 4-2. The Bruins beat the Senators 5-1 in Boston. Devils beat the Wings, keep their winning ways going. They beat the Wings 3-1 in Jersey. Islanders win at home in OT against the Sabres 3-2. Penguins win in a shootout. That's a good win for them over the Blue Jackets 5-4 in a shootout. Hurricanes beat the Canadiens 3-1.
How about those Canes? They're flying this year.
Yeah, they keep on going. And then Predators beat the Blues in St. Louis 2-1. Jets continue their winning ways, they get off the schneid a little bit, and they win. They beat the Oilers 4-3 in Winnipeg. The Rangers beat the Capitals 1-0 in a shootout at MSG, and then the Coyotes beat the Avalanche, which is it's almost comical that those two teams are fighting and battling each other, and I think both of us have expressed our opinions about how much we like some of the players on both those teams. They just can't find their way out of it.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Avs are playing a great year right now, and another surprising kind of team. But hey, Arizona got to hand it to them. They played pretty well, and they're trucking along. They're at the bottom of the league.
Players. Let's face it, they got some good young players, and if they can get that thing together and maybe find a couple of pieces to the puzzle, that they could. I'm not saying they're going to be a contender, but they definitely going to cause some teams some problems.
Clayton Keller, one of my favorite players in the league this year. He is fun to watch, man.
So quick, but he's in the mold. You talked about it before, how much speed is an important aspect of this game, and you watch so many of these young players that are coming into the league right now, and a player like Clayton Keller, Johnny Gaudreau, guys like that, both Americans that are coming into the league and providing this speed and this attack. They're not huge, dominant size type players, but they have so much speed and so much skill that they just get things done.
Yeah, and these kind of guys are going to be the future of the league, and it's fun to watch these kids. A guy like Austin Matthews, who's from Arizona, kind of has all the skill and speed of Johnny Gaudreau and Keller, but he puts it all together with a 6'2" frame, and he is the mold, along with McDavid, that is just like, that's going to be the phenoms from now on. The Crosbys and the I was going to say Getzlaf, but I don't know if you can put those two together. But those kind of superstars are coming out.
Patrick Kane kind of led the way to that style, to that level. He's not an overly big guy, but he has that speed and that skill that you get a puck to that guy like that, and they are very dangerous. They get the job done. They make great passes. They can get the puck in the back of the net. They can get themselves time and space with their feet, and that's what those guys do. Is that they can get a step or two on a player, and they get themselves enough room to be able to make a play, whether it's a shot to the net or a pass to somebody else, whether it's in the D zone, neutral zone, or in the offensive zone. When they can use their feet to get space, those kind of players are really effective in the NHL.
So the Ducks, Friday night, the next game in Anaheim. We have the next 7 games are we playing against Pacific Division opponents, so you cannot understate how important these games are, and it all kicks off Friday night again against Calgary Flames. It's going to be a big matchup. Look for a big rebound game, and obviously we have a little bit of beef with Calgary. Not so much now since we've played them in the playoffs twice and taken them down, but hey, still gonna be a fun game to watch.
Well, they're playing good hockey right now, so when you play it, that's a big swing. A win against a team like that is huge points when it comes to the end of the year here, and looking for either an outright playoff spot or a wild card spot.
Yeah, and these are all kind of 4-point games. If you think about it, every game that you win against a division rival, it's a game that they're not winning, and it's a game that they don't get points in the standings. So
Friday will be game 2 of a 3-game homestand. Last night obviously started against the Knights, Calgary on Friday, and then Arizona on Sunday, before we hit the road and go to Vancouver for Ryan Kesler to return back to the Vancouver Canucks. There's no love lost there. I'm sure they'll be booing him when he steps foot on the ice.
And Juicy Bieksa, I think that'll be fun for him. Has he? Yeah, we played there. He's been on our team, I guess, 2 years now. So he's been back for the return. But it's always fun. I think they all get a little hyped up for that game. So.
Tonight in the NHL, the Golden Knights play the Kings 7:00 at Staples Center. Bruins travel to the Capitals. Canadians travel to the Lightning. Flyers travel to the Panthers. Leafs travel to the Coyotes. So they're getting a little much-needed reprieve from the cold that is throughout the upper Midwest of the United States and southern Ontario and Canada. They're getting a ton of cold weather and snow, so they're getting to the desert to warm up a little bit. Blackhawks to the Canucks, and then Flames against the Sharks, which is really huge game for us, just watching the standings.
That's a huge game for us, and Sharks 2 points ahead of us in the standings, Calgary 1 point behind us, so don't really know who we're rooting for here. I guess I would say Calgary, and then we'd have an opportunity to take those 2 points back on Friday night, and then we also play them on the second end of back-to-back, so really excited for that game, and we're going to be ready to go.
Standings-wise in the Western Conference, Nashville, Winnipeg, St. Louis in the Central, Vegas, Kings, Sharks in the Pacific. Wildcard spots are looking at Dallas and Minnesota, with us at 40 points, 1 point behind the Minnesota Wild. And then following us at 39 points is Chicago and Calgary, and Colorado is 2 points behind Calgary at 37 points, and rounding out Edmonton, Vancouver, and Arizona.
All right, Ducks fans, Friday night, 7 o'clock on the West Coast, 10 o'clock on the East Coast. We got Calgary Flames looking for a rebound game here, and much needed win against the division rival. Tune in. We'll have one for you Saturday or Sunday morning to recap it, and tune into the World Junior Championships, guys. It's a fun tournament going on right now.
Yep, if you want to watch some good hockey right now on the NHL Network, there are games starting like at 9 o'clock in the morning and all the way through the day. You can watch Team Canada, Team USA battle all the top U20 World Junior teams, and it's just an exciting time of the year when it comes to hockey, and a great level of hockey too to watch. A lot of these players are looking to get to the NHL themselves, so fun to watch, very exciting. Canada is 2-0, US is 1-0 as they head towards playing the big outdoor game at New Era Field in Buffalo. The first time ever in a World Junior Championship there'll be an outdoor game, so pretty exciting.
Pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And for Ducks fans out there, a lot of our prospects playing. The most notable, Sam Steele, who's 2 goals, 2 assists already, and he's playing great. And obviously, it's a matter of time before we get Sam Steele in our lineup. Next year or the year after that, and he's gonna be a franchise guy for sure.
He's a heck of a player.
You've been listening to Ducks Hockey on Fire with Coach P and Hank. You can catch the Ducks Hockey on Fire at SoundCloud and iTunes, and check us out on our social media sites like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.